There was one play, Steve, in this baseball game that I think that a lot of people, and I'm sure you saw this and have your own thoughts on it, but it's sort of making a stir even amongst the national ranks of everybody. This comes in the sixth inning. Seby Zavala and O'Neill Cruz get into a little collision at the plate. Ground ball goes to third base. Ball's thrown home. Might I say this was a late slide? Because I feel like
it was.
There's some people out there who don't think that this was a late slide. It was a blatantly late slide, which then turns into a benches clearing. I don't want to say brawl, but it was a bench clearing that took place. Some words were exchanged. Former AL Central, I don't know, longtime staple, Carlos Santana's in the middle of this. Steve, there's probably some interesting dynamics going on with that relationship in particular, as he was on deck at the time here. Unfortunately, on the play, O'Neill Cruz suffered, I believe, a fractured foot. Seby Zavala comes up okay, but this is a scary collision at the plate. A very scary collision at the plate. Words are exchanged. You got guys out there. Michael Kopech looked like he wanted to rip somebody's head off during this entire exchange. I just need your thoughts on this, because if you venture out to that website or app, depending on how you consume twitter.com, there's some interesting takes coming from primarily the Pittsburgh area that said that this is Seby Zavala's fault that all this happened. I need to hear from you, because I don't believe it.
There might be some planets where it's Seby Zavala's fault. This just isn't one of them. What was he supposed to do? The guy slid late. And I don't know if you watched the replay. Seby kind of rolled his ankle because of how he came down on O'Neill Cruz trying to make the tag, because he slid in so late. What exactly is he supposed to do in that spot? Okay, and so, yeah, he makes the tag and he gets up to him and says, "What the fuck was that, bitch?" Because in the heat of the moment, when somebody takes you out and you might have your ankle rolled and might have your season derailed, he was a little hot. How was he supposed to know that Cruz fractures his ankle on that play? That's almost akin to one of the things that you see in hockey a little bit sometimes, where when a high stick comes in, the determination of whether it's going to be a 2-minute penalty or a 5-minute major, just depending on if blood is drawn. It's almost like does the outcome of the play determine whether the actions were justified or not? No, that's not the case. The slide, it was a bad slide. I'm not going to sit here and say it was a dirty slide. I don't think that there was intent on the part of O'Neill Cruz there. He just slid late. That's all there is to it. And again, what is Seby supposed to do in that spot?
According to some people, he's supposed to get completely out of the way as he sort of catches the ball and lands.
So he's supposed to catch the ball in midair, turn his body, and then just concede the plate.
I'm just glad the umpires, for all we saw with the umpiring crew this past week, I'm glad they got this call right, because in a different universe, Steve, we could be talking about totally different things here, and it costing a run. And who knows how this spirals out from there. Obviously, the Sox end up losing this game regardless. But you're right. Where does he go? Where does Seby Zavala go with that? One other thing I have to say is, thank God it wasn't Yasmani Grandal behind the plate here, because if his leg goes out like that, the last thing we need is Yasmani Grandal on the shelf with another knee injury. We already know that he's got the bad knees. Thank God it was Seby Zavala in that stance, and he's okay, completely okay. I just don't know if that was Yasmani Grandal, if we'd be talking about the same thing here.
Yeah, no, that's a very fair point right there. But like I said, my larger point here is it was just a late slide. And if you want to be mad at Seby Zavala for asking O'Neill Cruz, what the fuck was that, when he didn't know that the guy fractured his ankle, I will guarantee anybody listening here, any Pittsburgh Pirate fans, all 14 of you that are out there, if the roles were reversed and a guy on your team, your catcher, goes out there and is in that spot, has somebody slide in late, and he says, "What the fuck was that?" you would literally be saying he had nowhere to go on that play. There's no way for him to know that the ankle was fractured in that moment. You're hot because you could have had your season derailed. That's it. If you want to get pissy about that, then I don't know what to tell you.
They seem sort of pissy about this over in the Pittsburgh area, Steve. I don't really understand it. I'm sure they're upset because their guy is the one that wound up injured on the play. But I mean, I get upset when Eloy Jimenez tries to run to first base and injures himself. I don't get mad at the base. I've seen Luis Roberts slide and injure himself again. I don't get mad at the base or the other team. I don't know. This one just it sort of is interesting to me. I've seen some very interesting language chosen to express the anger and angst towards Seby Zavala and the White Sox, telling people that, they've never watched baseball before and Seby's supposed to get doesn't matter if that is not the White Sox. I'm sitting here probably saying the exact same thing that I'm saying right now. This was a late slide. There was nowhere for him to go. I think we're both in agreement here. But, if you had to get up on the soapbox, Steve, and plead the case that this is not Seby Zavala's fault, and I gave you 30 seconds to do it, to try and convince a Pittsburgh Pirates fan who's really, really upset and heated about this right now, what are you going with? I'll turn to you.
He had nowhere to go. He's not going to turn his body in midair and concede home plate, allowing Cruz to score. That's not how this shit works, okay? The guy slid late. He still gave him a lane. He could have slid head first. He could have done a hook slide around Seby Zavala and not had that outcome there. He slid late, period, paragraph.